Hello, English learners. I am Emma, your host for today. If you are new here, I would like to tell you that we upload a new English learning video every day on this channel to help you improve your English faster. In today's episode, you will not only improve your English listening skills, but also your English speaking skills through real-life daily conversations. Today's lesson is all about helping you move from an intermediate level to a confident English speaker. We are going to explore B1 to B2 level daily conversations that you can actually use in your real life. You will learn how to respond naturally, how to keep a conversation going, and how to sound more fluent and confident when you speak. We will go through practical situations like talking about your day, making plans, expressing opinions, solving problems, and reacting naturally in conversations. You will also hear useful phrases, sentence patterns, and natural expressions that native speakers use every day. As you listen, you will begin to notice how English flows in real conversations, and this will help you understand and speak more easily. Whether you are talking to friends, colleagues, or even speaking with someone for the first time, these conversations will help you feel more comfortable and confident. By the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of how to think in English, respond quickly, and express your ideas clearly, without hesitation. Throughout this lesson, I will also guide you with simple practice moments. I want you to repeat after me, pause when needed, and try to answer the questions in your own words. This is how you train your brain to speak naturally, not by just listening, but by actively practicing. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any of our daily English learning videos. These lessons are designed to help you build fluency, step by step, every single day. So, take a deep breath, relax your mind, and get ready to speak English with confidence. Let's begin. Let's start with a simple and very real situation. Imagine you wake up in the morning and someone asks you, "How was your day yesterday?" This is one of the most common daily conversation questions, and how you answer it can show your level of fluency. Instead of giving a short answer like, "It was good," you can expand your response to sound more natural and confident. For example, you can say, It was actually quite productive. I had a busy morning, but I managed to finish all my work, and in the evening, I relaxed a bit and watched a movie." Notice how this answer adds more detail, connects ideas, and sounds more like real English. Now, I want you to try. Think about your yesterday and say it in English. You can start like this. Yesterday was. Pause for a moment and complete the sentence in your own words. Try to include at least 2 or 3 details, maybe what you did in the morning, afternoon, or evening. This kind of practice helps your brain organize thoughts in English instead of translating from your native language. Let's move into another situation. Imagine you meet a friend after a long time and you want to ask about their life. Instead of just saying, "How are you?" you can make it more engaging. You can say, "Hey, it's been a while. How have things been going for you?" This sounds more natural and friendly. If your friend responds, "I've been pretty busy with work lately," You can continue the conversation by saying, "Oh, really? What kind of work have you been doing?" This is how conversations grow. One question leads to another. Now, repeat after me. It's been a while. How have things been going for you? Say it slowly. Focus on the rhythm. Now, try again. But this time, imagine you are really talking to someone. Add a natural tone to your voice. This is how you improve, not just your words, but also your speaking style. Let's explore a daily life situation related to work or studies. Imagine someone asks you, "What are you working on these days?" Instead of giving a short answer, try to explain clearly. For example, "Right now, I'm working on improving my English speaking skills. I try to practice every day by listening, speaking, and learning new vocabulary." This kind of answer shows clarity and confidence. Now, it's your turn. Answer this question. What are you working on these days? Take a moment, think, and speak. Try to use the structure. Right now, I'm... This structure is very useful in daily conversations. Let's take another example, talking about plans. This is something we do almost every day. Imagine your friend asks, "What are your plans for the weekend?" You can answer like this. "I'm planning to spend some time with my family, and I might also go out with friends, if I get time." Notice the use of planning to and might. These words help you express future ideas naturally. Now, repeat after me. I'm planning to spend some time with my family. Again, slowly. I might also go out with friends. Good. Now, combine both ideas and say the full sentence. This is how you build longer and more natural responses. Now, let's go deeper into conversation flow. When someone shares something, you should react. This is very important for fluency. For example, if someone says, "I had a really busy day," you can respond with, "Oh, that sounds tiring. What made it so busy?" This shows interest and keeps the conversation alive. Let's practice this. I will give you a sentence, and you respond. "I didn't sleep well last night." Now, you respond. Maybe you can say, "Oh no, what happened?" Or, "That must be difficult. Why couldn't you sleep?" There is no single correct answer. The goal is to respond naturally. Now, let's talk about expressing opinions. This is a key part of B1 to B2 level English. Imagine someone asks you, "What do you think about learning English online?" You can say, "I think it's very convenient because you can learn anytime and anywhere. But sometimes it can be difficult to stay consistent." This kind of answer shows balance and deeper thinking. Now, try it yourself. Answer this question. What do you think about learning English every day? Start with, "I think," and give at least 2 ideas, one positive and maybe one challenge. This will make your English more expressive. Let's move into a situation where you need to explain something. For example, if someone asks, "Why are you learning English?" You can say, "I'm learning English because I want to communicate with people from different countries and also improve my career opportunities." This is clear, structured, and meaningful. Now, repeat after me. I'm learning English because... Continue in your own words. This sentence pattern is very powerful and useful in many situations. Now, imagine a small daily conversation at a shop. The shopkeeper asks, "Can I help you?" You can respond, "Yes, I'm looking for something comfortable to wear at home," or "I'm just browsing, thank you." These are simple but natural responses. Now, practice. Say, "I'm just browsing, thank you," again. "I'm looking for something," and complete the sentence, maybe, affordable, or useful. This helps you think quickly in English. Let's now practice a longer conversation scenario. Imagine you are talking to a colleague. They say, "You look a bit tired today." You can respond, "Yeah, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I had a lot on my mind." Then they might say, "You should get some rest." And you can reply, "Yes, I think I will go to bed early today." This is how natural conversations flow, step by step. Now, I want you to repeat this short conversation slowly and then try to say it again, without looking. This kind of repetition builds fluency and confidence. As you continue practicing these daily conversations, you will notice that your speaking becomes smoother. You won't need to stop and think too much, and your sentences will start connecting naturally. This is the goal of fluency, not perfection, but smooth and confident communication. Now, let's take another everyday situation, talking about food. Someone asks, "What did you have for lunch?" Instead of saying just, "Rice," you can say, "I had rice with vegetables and some chicken. It was really delicious." Adding small details makes your English more interesting. Now, your turn. Answer this question. What did you eat today? Try to give a complete sentence. Include at least 2 details. This will improve your speaking depth. We are going step by step, building your confidence. With each example, keep listening, keep repeating, and most importantly, keep speaking. Let's continue with another very common situation, talking about your daily routine in a more natural and fluent way. Many learners at the B1 level say simple sentences like, "I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go to work." But to reach B2 level, you need to connect your ideas and add more detail. For example, instead of saying, "I wake up at 7, you can say, "I usually wake up around 7 in the morning, but sometimes I hit the snooze button and stay in bed for a few extra minutes." This sounds much more natural and closer to real conversation. Now, I want you to try. Say this sentence. "I usually wake up around," and complete it with your time. Then add one more detail. Maybe something you do right after waking up, like checking your phone or drinking water. Take a moment, speak slowly, and imagine your real morning. Let's build a full response together. Imagine someone asks you, "What does your typical morning look like?" You can say, "My mornings are usually quite simple. I wake up, freshen up, and then have a quick breakfast. After that, I either go to work or start studying, depending on the day." Notice how the sentence flows naturally with linking words like "then" and "after that." Now, repeat after me. "My mornings are usually quite simple." Again, "After that, I either go to work or start studying." Good. Now, Combine both parts. And say it as one smooth answer. Let's move into another situation, making and responding to invitations. This is something you will use very often in real life. Imagine your friend says, "Do you want to hang out this evening?" Instead of just saying, "Yes," or "No." Try to give a complete and natural response. For example, "That sounds great. I'd love to. What time are you thinking?" This keeps the conversation going and shows interest. If you cannot go, you can respond politely. "I'd really like to, but I already have some plans. Maybe we can do it another day." This kind of response is very useful and polite. Now, practice both situations. First, say yes. "That sounds great. I'd love to." Now, I say no. Politely, "I'd really like to, but I already have some plans." Repeat both again, with a natural tone. Let's take another daily conversation, asking for clarification. Sometimes, you don't understand something, and it's important to ask politely. For example, you can say, "Sorry, could you explain that again?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat it?" These are very natural expressions. Now, repeat after me. "I didn't quite catch that. Again. Could you explain that again?" These phrases will help you feel more confident in conversations. Now, let's move into expressing feelings and emotions. This is very important. At the B2 level, instead of saying, "I am happy," you can say, "I'm really happy about how things are going these days." Or instead of, "I am tired," you can say, "I'm feeling a bit exhausted because it's been a long day." These expressions sound more natural and expressive. Now, it's your turn. Complete this sentence. "I'm feeling," and add a reason. For example, "I'm feeling excited because," or "I'm feeling a bit stressed because." Take a moment and speak. Let's explore a situation where you give advice. Imagine your friend says, "I want to improve my English, but I don't know where to start." You can respond like this. "If I were you, I would start with daily practice. Even 15 to 20 minutes a day can make a big difference." This structure, "if I were you," is very useful. Now, repeat after me. "If I were you, I would." Complete it with your own idea, maybe about learning English or any other topic. Let's continue with a conversation about free time. Someone asks, "What do you usually do in your free time?" You can say, "In my free time, I like to relax and watch videos. Sometimes, I also go out for a walk or spend time with friends." Notice how we use sometimes to add variation. Now, your turn. Answer the question. What do you usually do in your free time? Try to include at least 2 activities and use words like usually, sometimes, or often. Now, let's build a short conversation. Imagine this situation. Someone says, "You look really busy these days." You reply, "Yeah, I've been trying to manage a lot of things at once." Then they ask, "How do you handle it?" And you say, "I try to stay organized and take breaks when needed." This is a natural and realistic exchange. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again, without stopping. Focus on smoothness, not perfection. let's go deeper into improving your responses. When someone asks you a question, don't stop at one sentence. Try to extend your answer. For example, if someone asks, "Do you like traveling?" instead of saying, "Yes, I do," you can say, "Yes, I really enjoy traveling. It gives me a chance to explore new places, meet different people, and experience new cultures." This shows fluency and confidence. Now, practice this. Answer the question, "Do you like learning English?" But don't stop at yes or no. Give reasons. Take your time and speak clearly. Let's now look at another daily life situation, talking about problems. Imagine you say, "I've been having trouble focusing lately." Someone might respond, "Why do you think that is?" And you can say, "I think it's because I've been using my phone too much and not getting enough rest." This kind of explanation shows deeper communication. Now, so your turn. Complete this sentence. "I've been having trouble," and explain the reason. This will help you express your thoughts clearly. Let's practice reacting naturally in conversations. If someone says, "I got a new job," you can say, "That's amazing. Congratulations." If someone says, "I failed my test," you can say, "I'm sorry to hear that. What happened?" These reactions are very important in real communication. Now, repeat after me. "That's amazing. Congratulations." And, "I'm sorry to hear that." Try to say them with emotion. Let's continue building your fluency, step by step. Imagine you are explaining your goals. You can say, "One of my main goals right now is to become more fluent in English. I want to be able to speak confidently without thinking too much." This kind of sentence shows purpose and clarity. Now, you try. Say, "One of my main goals is," and complete it. Take a moment, speak naturally. As you continue practicing like this, you will notice that your sentences are becoming longer, clearer, and more connected. This is exactly what we want. At the B1 to B2 level, you are moving from simple communication to more expressive and confident speaking. Keep going, keep practicing, and let your English flow naturally. Let's continue by focusing on how to keep a conversation going naturally. This is one of the most important skills when moving from intermediate to upper intermediate English. Many learners can answer questions, but they stop too quickly. To sound fluent, you need to add follow-up questions and small comments. For example, if someone says, "I went out for dinner last night," instead of just saying, "Nice," you can say, "Xiao, that sounds nice. Where did you go?" Or, "What kind of food did you have?" This keeps the conversation alive and shows real interest. Now, let's practice this. I'll give you a sentence, and you respond with a follow-up question. "I watched a really interesting movie yesterday." Now, you respond. Maybe you can say, "Oh, really? What was it about?" Or, "Was it a comedy or something serious?" Try to say it out loud. Imagine you're having a real conversation. Let's build a longer conversation together. Imagine this situation. Your friend says, "I've been trying to wake up earlier these days." You can respond, "Oh, that's a good habit. Has it been working for you?" Then they might say, "Not really. I keep hitting the snooze button." And you can reply, Yay, I do that sometimes too. It's really hard to get out of bed early. This kind of conversation feels natural because you are connecting with the other person. Now, you should repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again without pausing too much. Focus on smoothness and connection. Let's move into another important situation, giving suggestions in daily life. Imagine someone says, "I feel bored at home all the time." You can respond, "Maybe you could try learning something new, like a language or a new skill." Or, "Why don't you go out for a walk or meet some friends?" These suggestions sound natural and helpful. Now, repeat after me. Maybe you could try. And, why don't you? These are very useful sentence starters. Now, create your own sentence. Give a suggestion about anything. Take a moment and speak. Let's now practice talking about past experiences in a more detailed way. At B1 level, you might say, "I went to a park," but at B2 level, you can say, "I went to a park last weekend. It was really peaceful, and I spent some time just walking around and relaxing." Notice how we add time, feeling, and detail. Now, it's your turn. Complete this sentence. Last weekend, and add at least 2 more details. Maybe what you did and how you felt. Speak slowly and clearly. Let's take another situation, asking for opinions and responding. Imagine you ask someone, "What do you think about working from home?" They might say, "I think it's convenient, but sometimes it can feel a bit isolating." Then you can respond, "Yeah, I agree. It's comfortable, but you don't get much social interaction." This is how you build a balanced conversation. Now, repeat after me. "I think it's convenient, but sometimes," and "Yeah, I agree." Now, try to create your own opinion about any topic, maybe learning English, using social media, or watching movies. Let's move into a real-life situation, talking on the phone. Imagine you call someone and say, "Hey, I just wanted to check if you're free later today." This sounds natural and polite. The other person might respond, "I think I'll be free after 6. And you can say, "Great, let's catch up then." These are simple, but very useful expressions. Now, practice. Say, "I just wanted to check if you're free," again. "Let's catch up then." Try to say it with a natural tone. Let's continue with a situation where you explain something step by step. For example, if someone asks, "How do you usually study English?" You can say, "First, I listen to some English audio. Then I try to repeat what I hear. And after that, I practice speaking, by myself or with others." This kind of structured answer shows clarity. Now, your turn. Answer this question. How do you usually practice English? Use words like first, then, and after that. This will help you organize your ideas. Let's now explore a situation where you express uncertainty. This is very common in real conversations. Instead of always sounding sure, you can say things like, "I'm not really sure, but I think." Or, "It might be because." For example, "I'm not really sure, but I think he was busy." This sounds natural and realistic. Now, repeat after me. "I'm not really sure, but I think," and It might be because. Now, create your own sentence using one of these expressions. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, "I'm thinking about changing my job." You can respond, "Oh, really? Why are you thinking about it?" They might say, "I feel like I need a new challenge," and you can reply, "That makes sense. Sometimes it's good to try something different." This shows understanding and support. Now, repeat this conversation slowly and then try to say it again in your own words. You can change small parts, but keep the meaning. Let's move into expressing preferences. Imagine someone asks, "Do you prefer working in the morning or at night?" You can say, "I personally prefer working in the morning because I feel more focused and energetic." This kind of answer is clear and natural. Now, so your turn. Complete this sentence. "I personally prefer," and give a reason. Take your time and speak clearly. Let's continue with describing habits. For example, "I tend to check my phone as soon as I wake up, but I'm trying to change that habit." This sentence shows both a habit and an effort to improve. This is very useful in daily conversations. Now, repeat after me. "I tend to," and "I'm trying to change that habit." Now, create your own sentence about one of your habits. Let's explore reacting with surprise or interest. If someone says, "I finished reading a whole book in one day," you can say, "Wow, that's impressive," or "That's really interesting. How did you manage that?" These reactions make your conversation more engaging. Now, son practice. Say, "Wow, that's impressive." Again, "That's really interesting." Try to add emotion in your voice. Let's move into talking about future goals. For example, "In the future, I'd like to travel to different countries and experience new cultures." This kind of sentence shows your dreams and plans. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. "In the future, I'd like to," and add one or two ideas. Speak naturally. As you practice these conversations, you are training your brain to think faster and respond more naturally. You are not just learning words. You are learning how to connect ideas, express feelings, and interact with others. This is what real fluency looks like. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and let your confidence grow. With every sentence you say, let's continue by focusing on how to handle longer conversations without losing your flow. This is where many learners feel stuck. They know the words, but they don't know how to keep speaking for more than a few seconds. So now, we will practice expanding your answers. Naturally, imagine someone asks you, "How do you usually spend your evenings?" Instead of giving a short, more answer, you can build your response step by step. For example, "My evenings are usually quite relaxed. After finishing my work, I like to take a short break. Then I either watch something interesting or spend time improving my English, and before going to bed, I try to plan my next day." Notice how this answer moves smoothly from one idea to another. Now, it's your turn. Say, "My evenings are usually," and continue. Add at least 3 small actions. Take your time, speak clearly, and imagine your real life. Let's go into a situation where you describe a recent experience in detail. Imagine someone asks, Did anything interesting happen to you recently? You can respond like this. Actually, yes. A few days ago, I met an old friend unexpectedly. We hadn't seen each other for a long time, so we decided to sit together and talk for a while. It felt really nice to reconnect. This kind of storytelling is very important at the B2 level. Now, try it yourself. Complete this sentence. A few days ago, and tell a short story. Include what happened, how you felt, and maybe what happened next. This will help you develop natural speaking flow. Let's now practice how to politely disagree. In a conversation, this is an important skill. Imagine someone says, "I think watching TV is a waste of time." You don't have to agree. You can say, "I see your point, but I think it depends on what you watch." Sometimes it can be educational or relaxing. This way, you express your opinion without sounding rude. Now, repeat after me. I see your point, but I think... This phrase is very powerful. Now, then create your own sentence. Disagree politely about any topic. Let's move into a situation where you ask for help. For example, "Could you help me with this task? I'm not sure how to do it." This sounds polite and clear. Another way to say it is, "I was wondering if you could help me with something." This sounds even softer and more polite. Now, repeat after me. Could you help me with this? And I was wondering if you could help me. Now, Sutter, try to make your own sentence using these structures. Let's continue with talking about preferences in more detail. Imagine someone asks, "Do you like working alone or in a team?" You can answer like this. I think both have their advantages. Working alone helps me focus better, but working in a team allows me to learn from others and share ideas. This kind of balanced answer shows maturity in your English. Now, your turn. Answer this question. Do you prefer studying in the morning or at night? Give a balanced answer, if possible. Include reasons. Let's explore another situation, expressing excitement. For example, I'm really looking forward to the weekend. I finally have some free time to relax and do things I enjoy. This sounds natural and expressive. Now, repeat after me. I'm really looking forward to. Now, shall complete the sentence with something you are excited about. Let's build a natural conversation about learning. Imagine someone says, "I find it difficult to stay motivated." You can respond, "I understand how you feel. It can be challenging sometimes, but I think setting small goals can really help." This shows empathy and support. Now, repeat this response slowly, then try to say it again in your own way. You can change some words, but keep the meaning. Let's now practice giving explanations more clearly. For example, if someone asks, "Why do you practice English every day?" You can say, "Because I believe consistency is the key to improvement. Even a little practice every day can make a big difference over time." This kind of explanation sounds thoughtful and clear. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. I believe, and give a reason. Speak slowly and confidently. Let's move into reacting to good and bad news. If someone says, "I passed my exam," you can say, "That's great news. You must be really happy." If someone says, I missed my bus this morning. You can say, "Oh no, that must have been frustrating." These small reactions make conversations feel real. Now, practice. Say, "That's great news," and "That must have been frustrating." Try to add emotion to your voice. Let's continue with talking about habits and improvements. For example, I've been trying to improve my speaking skills by practicing every day, and I can already see some progress. This shows effort and result. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. I've been trying to, and add what you are improving. Then add a result. If possible, let's explore a situation where you need to give your opinion in a discussion. Imagine someone asks, "Do you think social media is useful?" You can say, "I think it can be very useful if used properly. It helps people connect and share information, but at the same time, it can also be distracting." This shows a balanced view. Now, repeat after me. I think it can be very useful if. Now, create your own opinion about any topic. Let's move into asking more engaging questions instead of asking simple questions like, "Do you like it?" You can say, "What do you like most about it?" Or, "How did you feel when you experienced that?" These questions encourage longer answers. Now, CA practice. Say, "What do you like most about it?" And, "How did you feel when?" Try to say them naturally. Let's build another short conversation. Imagine someone says, "I started exercising regularly." You can respond, "That's great. How often do you exercise?" They might say, "About 3 times a week." And you can reply, "That's really good. I've been thinking about starting too." This is a natural flow. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again with your own words. Let's continue with describing situations more clearly. For example, "It was a bit challenging at first, but I gradually got used to it." This kind of sentence shows change over time. Now, repeat after me. "It was a bit challenging at first, and I gradually got used to it." Now, don't try to create your own sentence using this structure. As you practice all these conversations, you are building not just vocabulary, but also confidence and natural flow. You are learning how to respond, react, explain, and connect ideas smoothly. This is what takes you from B1 to B2 level. Keep going, keep speaking, and remember, fluency comes with consistent practice and real effort. Let's continue by focusing on how to speak more naturally when you are in longer discussions. At this stage, your goal is not just to answer questions, but to share your thoughts clearly and keep your speech flowing without long pauses. One effective way to do this is by using linking ideas. For example, instead of saying separate sentences like, "I like learning English. It is useful. It helps me communicate," you can connect them and say, "I really enjoy learning English because it's very useful, and it helps me communicate with people from different backgrounds." This makes your speech sound smoother and more advanced. Now, it's your turn. Say this sentence, "I really enjoy," and connect at least 2 ideas using because or and. Take a moment, speak slowly, and try to keep your sentence flowing without stopping. Let's move into a situation where you describe a typical problem and how you deal with it. Imagine someone asks, "Do you ever feel nervous when speaking English?" You can answer like this. Yes, sometimes I do feel nervous, especially when I'm talking to someone new, but I try to stay calm and focus on expressing my ideas instead of worrying about mistakes. This kind of response shows honesty and confidence. Now, you repeat after me. Sometimes I do feel nervous. Again, but I try to stay calm. Now, create your own sentence. Talk about something that makes you nervous and how you handle it. Let's explore another daily conversation. Talking about learning progress. Someone might ask you, "Do you think your English has improved?" You can say, "Yes, I think it has improved quite a lot. I can understand more, and I feel more comfortable when I speak." This kind of answer shows reflection and growth. Now, on your turn. Answer this question. Do you think your English has improved? Try to give 2 reasons. Take your time and speak clearly. Let's continue with a situation where you explain your choices. For example, I decided to start learning English seriously because I realized how important it is for my future. This kind of sentence shows purpose and reasoning. Now, repeat after me. I decided to, and complete the sentence with your own idea. Explain why you made that decision. Let's move into reacting during conversations to show that you are listening. This is very important. You can use small phrases like, "That makes sense," "I see what you mean," or "That's interesting." These are called response signals, and they make your conversation more natural. Now, when practice, say, "That makes sense." Again, "I see what you mean." Try to say them with a natural tone. Let's build a conversation using these responses. Imagine someone says, "I've been trying to reduce my screen time." You can say, "That makes sense. It can be really distracting sometimes." Then they might say, "Yes, I feel more focused when I use my phone less." And you can reply, "I see what you mean. I should probably try that too." This is how you stay engaged in a conversation. Now, you repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again in your own way. Let's continue with talking about future plans in more detail. Instead of saying, "I will study," you can say, "I'm planning to spend more time practicing my English in the coming weeks. I want to focus more on speaking and listening." This sounds more natural and specific. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. I'm planning to, and add 1 or 2 details. Speak clearly and naturally. Let's explore expressing possibilities. For example, I might try a new method to improve my English. Maybe I'll start speaking with more people online. Words like might and maybe help you sound more natural when you are not completely sure. Now, repeat after me. I might, and maybe I'll. Now, create your own sentence using these expressions. Let's move into describing experiences in more depth. Imagine someone asks, "How was your first time speaking English with someone?" You can say, "At first, I felt a bit nervous and unsure, but as the conversation continued, I started to feel more comfortable and confident." This shows progression. Now, your turn. Complete the sentence. At first, I felt, then add, but later. Speak slowly and clearly. Let's continue with a situation where you compare things. For example, learning English now is much easier than it was before. because there are so many online resources available. This kind of comparison shows a higher level of thinking. Now, repeat after me. It is much easier than now. You create your own comparison. It can be about anything. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, "I don't have enough time to practice English." You can respond, "I understand. It can be difficult to manage time, but even a few minutes a day can help." Then they might say, "Yes, I guess I should try that." And you can reply, "Exactly. Small steps can lead to big improvements." This kind of conversation is supportive and realistic. Now, repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again with your own words. Let's move into expressing personal experiences. For example, "I used to struggle with speaking, but now I feel much more confident." This shows improvement over time. Now, repeat after me. "I used to," and "but now," now. Create your own sentence using this structure. Let's continue with asking deeper questions. Instead of asking simple questions, you can say, "What helped you improve the most?" Or, "What challenges did you face?" These questions encourage meaningful conversations. Now, practice. Say, "What helped you the most?" And, "What challenges did you face?" Try to say them naturally. Let's explore another situation, talking about daily responsibilities. For example, "I usually have a lot to do during the day, but I try to manage my time effectively." This sounds clear and responsible. Now, see your turn. Complete this sentence. "I usually have," and add one more idea. Speak clearly. Let's move into expressing motivation. For example, "What keeps me motivated is the idea that I can improve little by little every day." This shows a positive mindset. Now, repeat after me. "What keeps me motivated is..." Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's build one more conversation. Imagine someone says, "I feel like I'm not improving fast enough." You can respond, "It might feel that way, but progress takes time. You just need to stay consistent." This is encouraging and realistic. Now, we repeat this response slowly. Then try to say it again in your own words. As you continue practicing like this, you will notice that your English becomes more flexible. You can express ideas in different ways. You can respond naturally, and you can keep conversations going without feeling stuck. This is the transition from basic communication to real fluency. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and trust the process. Let's continue by focusing on how to handle real-life conversations, where things don't always go perfectly. Sometimes you forget a word, sometimes you feel stuck, and sometimes you don't fully understand the other person. At the B2 level, the goal is not to avoid these situations, but to manage them smoothly. For example, if you forget a word, instead of stopping completely, you can say, "I can't remember the exact word, but it's..." See, something like, and then try to explain it in another way. This skill is called paraphrasing, and it is very important for fluency. Now, let's practice this. Imagine you forget the word dictionary. You can say, "It's a book where you can find the meanings of words." Try another example. If you forget the word restaurant, you can say, "It's a place where people go to eat food." Now, it's your turn. Think of an object and try to describe it without using its name. This will train your brain to keep speaking even when you don't know a word. Let's move into another situation, asking someone to slow down or speak more clearly. This is very common in real conversations. You can say, "Could you speak a bit more slowly? And please?" Or, "Could you say that again more clearly?" These phrases are polite and very useful. Now, repeat after me. Could you speak a bit more slowly? Please? Again, could you say that again more clearly? Practice saying them with confidence. Let's continue with how to naturally correct yourself while speaking. Even native speakers do this. For example, you can say, "I went there on Monday. Sorry, I mean Tuesday." This shows that you are thinking in English and adjusting your speech naturally. Now, repeat after me. Sorry, I mean, now, create your own sentence where you correct yourself. Take your time. Let's explore a situation where you need to explain something you don't fully understand. For example, "I'm not completely sure how it works, but I think it has something to do with." This allows you to express an idea, even if you are not 100% certain. Now, repeat after me. "I'm not completely sure, but I think." Now, try to create your own sentence using this. My structure. Let's move into a longer conversation scenario. Imagine you are talking to someone about your learning journey. They say, "How did you start learning English?" You can respond, "At the beginning, I didn't know where to start, but then I decided to focus on listening and speaking. Over time, I started to understand more and feel more confident." This shows a clear story. Now, repeat this answer slowly. Then try to say it again in your own words. You can change small parts, but keep the idea. Let's continue with expressing agreement in different ways. Instead of always saying, "Yes," you can say, "Exactly, that's true," or "I totally agree." These expressions make your English sound more natural. Now, practice. Say, "Exactly," again, "That's true," and "I totally agree." Try to say them with a natural tone. Let's explore how to express partial agreement. Sometimes you agree with something, but not completely. For example, "I agree to some extent, but I also think there are other factors to consider." This is very useful in discussions. Now, repeat after me. "I agree to some extent, but..." Now, create your own sentence using this structure. Let's move into describing your environment. For example, "The place where I usually study is quiet and comfortable. It helps me focus better." This kind of description is useful in daily conversations. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. "The place where I usually..." and describe it in your own words. Let's continue with asking for opinions in a more natural way. Instead of saying, "What do you think?" you can say, "What's your opinion on this?" or "How do you feel about it?" These variations make your English richer. Now, practice. Say, "What's your opinion on this?" again. "How do you feel about it?" Try to say them naturally. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, "I've been feeling really stressed lately." You can respond, "I'm sorry to hear that. Do you know what's causing it?" Then they might say, "I have too much work." And you can reply, "That sounds difficult. Maybe you should take some time to relax." This shows empathy and support. Now, Repeat this conversation slowly, and then try to say it again in your own way. Let's explore another important skill, giving examples while speaking. For example, I enjoy outdoor activities. For example, I like going for walks, cycling, and sometimes hiking. This makes your speech more detailed. Now, repeat after me. For example, now, create your own sentence using this CA phrase. Let's continue with talking about changes over time. For example, at first, it was very difficult for me to speak English, but gradually, I became more comfortable. This shows progress clearly. Now, repeat after me. At first, but gradually. Now, create your own sentence using this structure. Let's move into expressing expectations. For example, I was expecting it to be difficult, but it turned out to be quite easy. This kind of sentence adds depth to your speaking. Now, repeat after me. I was expecting, but it turned out to be. Now, try to create your own example. Let's explore another conversation scenario. Imagine someone says, I want to travel abroad one day. You can respond, that sounds exciting. Which country would you like to visit? Then they might say, I'd love to visit a country where I can, practice English. And you can reply, that's a great idea. It would really help you improve. This is a natural flow. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with expressing reasons more clearly. For example, the reason I practice English every day is that I want to become more confident when I speak. This kind of structure sounds very natural. Now, repeat after me. The reason Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's move into expressing contrast. For example, I enjoy studying alone, but sometimes I prefer studying with others because it's more interactive. This helps you compare ideas. Now, repeat after me. I enjoy, but sometimes. Now, create your own sentence. Let's continue with building confidence in speaking. Imagine you are explaining something. As important, you can say, let me explain this in a simple way. This gives you control over the conversation. Now, repeat after me. Let me explain this. Now, try to use it in your own sentence. As you continue practicing these situations, you are becoming more flexible in your English. You are learning how to handle difficult moments, how to explain ideas clearly, and how to keep speaking, even when things are not perfect. This is what real fluency looks like, being able to communicate effectively in any situation. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because every mistake is a step forward. Let's continue by focusing on how to manage real conversations where you need to explain your thoughts more deeply and clearly. At the B2 level, it's important to not only speak, but also organize your ideas in a logical way. One helpful technique is to introduce your idea, explain it, and then give a result or example. For example, you can say, I think learning English every day is important because it helps you stay consistent, and as a result, you improve more quickly over time. This structure makes your speech more organized and easier to understand. Now it's your turn. Complete this sentence. I think it's important too. Then add a reason using because, and finally add a result. Take your time, speak slowly, and try to connect your ideas smoothly. Let's move into a situation where you describe your daily challenges. Imagine someone asks, "What is the most difficult part of learning English for you?" You can respond, "I think the most difficult part for me is speaking fluently, because sometimes I know what I want to say, but I can't find the right words quickly." This shows honesty and clarity. Now, repeat after me. The most difficult part for me is, and sometimes I know what I want to say, but. Now, create your own answer to this question. Let's explore how to continue speaking, even when you need time to think. Instead of staying silent, you can use thinking phrases. For example, "That's a good question. Let me think for a moment." Or, "Well, I haven't thought about it before, but I would say." These phrases give you time and keep the conversation natural. Now, practice. Say, "That's a good question." Again, "Let me think for a moment." And, "I would say." Try to use them together in one sentence. Let's move into a situation where you describe something step by step in more detail. For example, when I start learning something new, I first try to understand the basics. Then, I practice regularly. And finally, I try to use it in real-life situations. This kind of explanation sounds structured and clear. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. When I start, and describe a process. Use first, then, and finally. Speak slowly and clearly. Let's continue with expressing cause and effect. This is very useful in conversations. For example, "I didn't practice for a few days, so I felt less confident when I spoke." Or, "I practiced regularly, so I started to see improvement." Words like "so" and "because" help connect ideas. Now, repeat after me. So I felt, and because I. Now, create your own sentence showing cause and effect. Let's explore a situation where you compare your past and present. For example, "In the past, I used to avoid speaking English, but now, I try to speak as much as possible." This shows growth and confidence. Now, repeat after me. "In the past," and "but now." Now, create your own sentence using this structure. Let's move into reacting in a more expressive way. Instead of always saying, "That's good," you can say, "That sounds really encouraging," or "That's quite impressive." These small changes make your English sound more advanced. Now, practice. Say, "Xiao, that sounds really encouraging," and "That's quite impressive." Try to add emotion. Let's build a conversation using these ideas. Imagine someone says, "I've been practicing English every day for the last month." You can respond, "That's really impressive. Have you noticed any improvement?" Then they might say, "Yes, I feel more confident now." And you can reply, "That's great to hear. Consistency really makes a difference." This is a natural and supportive conversation. Now, repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with describing situations more vividly. For example, "It was a bit challenging at the beginning, but over time, it became easier and more enjoyable." This shows progression clearly. Now, repeat after me. At the beginning, and over time. Now, create your own sentence using these phrases. Let's move into expressing uncertainty more naturally. For example, "I'm not entirely sure, but it could be because I didn't practice enough." This sounds thoughtful and natural. Now, repeat after me. "I'm not entirely sure, but." Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore another situation. giving advice in a softer way. Instead of saying, you should do this, you can say, you might want to try. Or, it could be helpful to. These sound more polite and friendly. Now, practice. Say, you might want to try. And, it could be helpful to. Now, create your own advice sentence. Let's continue with talking about motivation and consistency. For example, sometimes I don't feel motivated, but I remind myself why I started, and that helps me keep going. This shows emotional awareness. Now, repeat after me. Sometimes I don't feel, but I remind myself. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into asking more thoughtful questions. For example, what do you find most challenging about learning English? Or, what helps you stay consistent? These questions lead to deeper conversations. Now, practice. Say, what do you find most challenging? And, what helps you stay consistent? Try to say them naturally. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, I feel like I'm not making enough progress. You can respond, I understand how you feel, but progress is not always easy to notice. Sometimes it takes time to see real improvement. Then they might say, yes, that's true, and you can reply. The important thing is to keep going. This is encouraging and realistic. Now, repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with expressing results. For example, because I practiced regularly, I became more confident in speaking. This clearly shows the result of an action. Now, repeat after me. Because I became. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into describing feelings more deeply. For example, I feel proud of my progress, even though I still have a lot to learn. This shows balance and honesty. Now, repeat after me. I feel proud of, and even though. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore another conversation scenario. Imagine someone says, I'm thinking about joining an English class. You can respond, wow, that sounds like a good idea. It could help you stay consistent and get more practice. Then they might say, yes, I think it will help. And you can reply, I'm sure you'll see improvement if you stay committed. This is natural and supportive. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, and then try to say it again without stopping. As you continue practicing these patterns, your English will become more structured, expressive, and confident. You will be able to explain your ideas clearly, respond naturally, and keep conversations flowing without hesitation. This is a strong step toward fluency at the B2 level. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep building your confidence with every sentence. Let's continue by focusing on how to handle conversations where you need to explain your thoughts in more detail, and keep speaking for a longer time without stopping. At this level, you are not just answering questions, you are building ideas, adding examples, and making your speech more engaging. One simple way to do this is by adding supporting details after your main idea. For example, instead of saying, I like learning English, you can say, I like learning English because it allows me to connect with people from different cultures, and it also gives me access to a lot of useful information online. This kind of response sounds much richer and more complete. Now, it's your turn. Say, I like, and give at least 2 reasons using because or and. Take your time, speak clearly, and try to keep your sentence flowing. let's move into a situation where you describe a recent challenge and how you dealt with it. Imagine someone asks, "Have you faced any challenges recently?" You can answer like this. Yes, recently I found it difficult to stay focused while studying, but I tried to reduce distractions and set small goals, which really helped me improve my concentration. This kind of answer shows problem solving and clarity. Now, repeat after me. Recently, I found it difficult to, but I tried to. Now, create your own sentence about a challenge you faced and how you handled it. Let's explore how to give more detailed opinions. Instead of saying, "I think it's good," you can say, "I think it's a very effective way to learn because it helps you practice regularly and build confidence over time." This sounds more thoughtful and natural. Now, practice, say, "I think it's a very effective way to." Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's continue with a situation where you describe your preferences in more depth. For example, "I prefer learning through listening and speaking, rather than just reading, because it feels more practical and helps me use the language in real situations." This shows clear reasoning. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. "I prefer," and explain why. Speak slowly and clearly. Let's move into a situation where you explain your daily routine in more detail. Imagine someone asks, "What do you usually do after work or study?" You can say, "After finishing my work, I usually take some time to relax. Then I try to do something productive, like practicing English or reading, and later I spend some time with my family before going to bed." This kind of response shows a natural flow of activities. Now, try it yourself. Say, "After finishing my work, I usually," and add at least 3 actions. Take a moment and speak. Let's explore another important skill: adding examples to make your speech clearer. For example, "I try to stay active during the day." For instance, "I go for a walk, do some light exercise, or stretch for a few minutes." Words like "for example" and "for instance" help you explain better. Now, repeat after me. For instance, now, create your own sentence using this phrase. Let's continue with talking about past habits and present changes. For example, "I used to spend a lot of time watching random videos, but now, I try to use my time more wisely by learning something useful." This shows improvement and awareness. Now, repeat after me. "I used to," but now, "I try to." Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into expressing your thoughts more clearly during a conversation. Sometimes you want to organize your ideas before speaking. You can say, "What I mean is," or "Let me put it another way." These phrases help you explain yourself better. Now, in practice, say, "What I mean is," and "Let me put it another way." Now, try to use one of these in your own sentence. Let's build a longer conversation. Imagine someone says, "I want to improve my English quickly." You can respond, "That's a great goal, but I think it's important to focus on consistency rather than speed." Then they might say, "Yes, but I feel like I'm not improving fast enough." And you can reply, "It might feel that way, but progress takes time. The key is to keep practicing regularly." This conversation shows depth and encouragement. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with expressing your feelings more naturally. For example, I feel really satisfied when I can express my ideas clearly in English. This kind of sentence shows emotion and progress. Now, repeat after me. I feel really satisfied when. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's move into a situation where you describe your goals more clearly. For example, one of my main goals is to speak English fluently without hesitation, and I'm working towards it by practicing every day. This shows both your goal and your action. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. One of my main goals is, and add how you are working on it. Let's explore another situation, asking more detailed questions. Instead of asking, did you like it? You can say, what did you like the most about it? Or, what made it interesting for you? These questions lead to deeper conversations. Now, see practice. Say, what did you like the most? And, what made it interesting? Try to say them naturally. Let's continue with expressing contrast more clearly. For example, I enjoy studying alone because it helps me focus. However, I also like studying with others sometimes because it's more interactive. Words like however help you connect ideas. Now, repeat after me. However. Now, create your own sentence using this word. Let's move into describing improvement over time. For example, little by little, I started to feel more confident when speaking English. This shows gradual progress. Now, repeat after me. Little by little. Now, create your own sentence. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, I don't know how to stay consistent. You can respond. You might want to start with small steps. For example, practicing just a few minutes every day. Then they might say, that sounds manageable? And you can reply, yes. And once it becomes a habit, it gets easier. This is practical and encouraging. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again in your own way. Let's continue with expressing reasons more clearly. For example, the main reason I practice every day is that I want to improve my confidence. This structure is very useful. Now, repeat after me. The main reason I. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's move into expressing possibilities and plans. For example, I'm thinking about trying new ways to improve my English. Maybe I'll start speaking with more people, or join a group. This sounds natural and thoughtful. Now, Siege, repeat after me. I'm thinking about, and maybe I'll. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore another situation, reacting thoughtfully in conversations. For example, that's an interesting idea. I haven't thought about it that way before. This shows engagement. Now, practice. Say, that's an interesting idea. Now, try to use it in your own sentence. As you continue practicing these longer and more detailed responses, you will notice that your speaking becomes more natural, more flexible, and more confident. You will be able to express your ideas clearly, respond thoughtfully, and keep conversations going without feeling stuck. This is a strong sign that you are reaching a higher level of fluency. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and continue building your confidence step by step. Let's continue by focusing on how to express your ideas more smoothly when you are speaking for a longer time. At this stage, your goal is to reduce hesitation and make your speech sound more connected and natural. One useful technique is to use soft fillers, not the kind that stop your speech, but the kind that help you continue thinking while speaking. For example, you can say, "Well, to be honest," or, "Actually, what I've noticed is," these phrases give you time and make your speech sound more natural. Now, practice. Say, "Well, to be honest," again. "Actually, what I've noticed is," now, create your own sentence using one of these expressions. Take your time and speak naturally. Let's move into a situation where you describe your thoughts in a more reflective way. Imagine someone asks, "How do you feel about your progress so far?" You can say, "To be honest, I feel quite satisfied with my progress. Even though I still make mistakes, I can see that I've improved a lot compared to before." This shows reflection and confidence. Now, repeat after me. To be honest, I feel, and even though I still, now, create your own answer to this question. Let's explore how to explain something more clearly by adding extra information. For example, I try to practice English every day, not just by listening, but also by speaking and thinking in English. Adding not just, but also makes your sentence stronger and more complete. Now, practice. Say, not just, but also. Now, create your own sentence using this structure. Let's continue with a situation where you describe your experience in detail. Imagine someone asks, "What was your experience like when you first started learning English?" You can answer, "At the beginning, it was quite confusing. I struggled to understand even simple sentences, but gradually, as I practiced more, I started to feel more comfortable." This shows a clear journey. Now, you'd repeat after me. At the beginning, and but gradually. Now, create your own version of this answer. Let's move into expressing your opinions more confidently. For example, personally, I believe that regular practice is more important than learning too many rules. Using "personally, I believe" makes your opinion sound strong, but natural. Now, repeat after me. Personally, I believe. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's explore another situation, describing how you solve a problem. For example, when I don't understand something, I try to listen again or look for another explanation, and that usually helps me understand better. This shows your strategy. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. When I don't understand, and explain what you do. Let's continue with talking about your habits in a more detailed way. For example, I usually try to practice English in the evening, because that's when I have some free time, and I feel more relaxed. This adds reasoning to your habit. Now, repeat after me. I usually try to, and because. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into expressing contrast in a more advanced way. For example, even though it can be difficult sometimes, I still try to practice every day. This shows determination. Now, repeat after me. Even though, and I still try to. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore a situation where you describe something in a more engaging way. For example, what I really enjoy about learning English is that it opens up many opportunities, and it makes me feel more confident. This shows enthusiasm. Now, repeat after me. What I really enjoy is. Now, complete the sentence. Let's build a longer conversation. Imagine someone says, "I don't feel confident when I speak English." You can respond, That's completely normal. Many people feel that way at the beginning. Then they might say, "Yes, I feel nervous every time I try to speak." And you can reply, "I understand, but the more you practice, the more confident you will become." This is supportive and realistic. Now, repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with expressing results more clearly. For example, because I practiced regularly, I was able to speak more smoothly over time. This shows cause and result clearly. Now, repeat after me. Because I was able to. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into asking for clarification in a more natural way. For example, "Do you mean that?" Or, "Are you saying that?" These help you understand better. Now, practice. Say, "Do you mean that?" And, "Are you saying that?" Try to use them in your own sentences. Let's explore another situation, describing your learning method. For example, I find it helpful to repeat sentences out loud because it improves my pronunciation and confidence. This shows your strategy clearly. Now, repeat after me. I find it helpful to. Now, so complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's continue with expressing gradual improvement. For example, step by step, I started to feel more comfortable speaking English. This shows progress over time. Now, repeat after me, step by step. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into expressing your thoughts more clearly during a discussion. For example, from my point of view, consistency is the most important factor in learning a language. This makes your opinion clear. Now, repeat after me. From my point of view. Now, complete the sentence. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, "I feel like giving up sometimes." You can respond, "I understand how you feel, but it's important to remember why you started." Then they might say, "Yes, I guess I need to stay focused." And you can reply, "Exactly, just keep going step by step." This is encouraging and supportive. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with describing your mindset. For example, I try to stay positive and focus on my progress rather than my mistakes. This shows a healthy attitude. Now, repeat after me. I try to stay. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. As you continue practicing these patterns, your English will become more natural, more expressive, and more confident. You will be able to speak for longer periods without hesitation, organize your ideas clearly, and respond naturally in different situations. This is what true fluency feels like. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep building your confidence step by step. Let's continue by focusing on how to speak more confidently in situations where you need to explain your ideas clearly to someone else. At the B2 level, it's very important to not just speak, but to guide the listener through your thoughts. One way to do this is by using phrases that organize your explanation. For example, you can say, "The main point is," or "What I'm trying to say is." These expressions help you stay clear and structured while speaking. Now, practice. Say, "The main point is." Again, "What I'm trying to say is." Now, create your own sentence using one of these phrases. Take your time and speak naturally. Let's move into a situation where you need to describe a process or give instructions in a more natural way. Imagine someone asks, "How do you improve your speaking skills?" You can respond, "What I usually do is start by listening carefully to English audio. Then I try to repeat what I hear. And after that, I practice speaking by myself or with others." This kind of explanation is clear and easy to follow. Now, repeat after me. What I usually do is, and then I try to, now. Create your own explanation of how you learn something. Let's explore how to make your speech more natural by adding small details. For example, instead of saying, "I practiced English," you can say, "I spent some time practicing English earlier today. I focused mainly on speaking and listening." These small additions make your speech richer. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. Earlier today, and add one more detail. Speak slowly and clearly. Let's continue with expressing your opinions in a more thoughtful way. For example, in my opinion, the best way to improve English is through regular practice and real-life conversations. This sounds clear and confident. Now, repeat after me. In my opinion, now. 9. Complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's move into a situation where you explain your experience in a more detailed and connected way. For example, when I started learning English, I felt quite unsure. But as I continued practicing, I gradually became more confident and comfortable. This shows progression clearly. Now, repeat after me. When I started, and as I continued. Now, create your own sentence using this structure. Let's explore another important skill, summarizing your thoughts. Sometimes you speak for a while, and then you want to give a clear conclusion. You can say, "So, overall, I think," or, "In general, I feel that." These phrases help you finish your idea clearly. Now, practice, say, "So, overall," and "In general." Now, create your own sentence. Let's continue with a situation where you need to explain your feelings more deeply. For example, I feel more confident now because I practice regularly, and I don't worry too much about making mistakes. This shows both feeling and reason. Now, repeat after me. I feel more, and because. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into expressing hesitation in a natural way. Sometimes you're not completely sure. You can say, "I'm not entirely certain, but I would say." This sounds polite and thoughtful. Now, repeat after me. I'm not entirely certain, but. Now. 9. Create your own sentence. Let's explore a situation where you describe something in more detail. For example, the way I usually practice is by listening to short conversations and then repeating them out loud. This explains your method clearly. Now, repeat after me. The way I usually. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's continue with expressing contrast and balance. For example, on one hand, learning English can be challenging, but on the other hand, it can also be very rewarding. This shows a balanced perspective. Now, repeat after me. On one hand, and on the other hand, now. Create your own sentence. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, "I don't feel comfortable speaking in front of others." You can respond, "I understand. It can feel intimidating at first." Then they might say, "Yes, I get nervous." And you can reply, "That's normal." But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. This conversation is supportive and realistic. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with describing your learning strategy in a more advanced way. For example, one thing that really helps me is practicing consistently, even if it's just for a short time every day. This shows your approach clearly. Now, repeat after me. One thing that really helps me is. Now, complete the sentence. Let's move into expressing results over time. For example, over time, I've noticed that my speaking has become more natural and fluent. This shows improvement clearly. Now, repeat after me. Over time, I've noticed. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore another situation, asking thoughtful follow-up questions. For example, what do you think has helped you improve the most? Or, what would you like to improve next? These questions create deeper conversations. Now, practice. Say, what has helped you the most? And what would you like to improve next? Try to say them naturally. Let's continue with expressing your thoughts more clearly in discussions. For example, as far as I can tell, practicing regularly is the most effective way to improve. This sounds natural and confident. Now, repeat after me. As far as I can tell. Now, complete the sentence. Let's build one more conversation. Imagine someone says, "I feel like I'm not speaking fast enough." You can respond, "That's okay. Fluency takes time to develop." Then they might say, "Yes, I just need more practice." And you can reply, "Exactly. With regular practice, your speed will improve naturally." This is encouraging and realistic. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with describing your mindset more clearly. For example, I try to focus on progress rather than perfection because that helps me stay motivated. This shows a positive approach. Now, repeat after me. I try to focus on, and, because. Now. Create your own sentence. As you keep practicing these patterns, you will notice that your English becomes more structured, more confident, and more natural. You will be able to explain ideas clearly, respond thoughtfully, and keep conversations flowing without hesitation. This is exactly what you need to reach a strong B2 level. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and continue building your confidence step by step. Let's continue by focusing on how to express yourself more fluently when you are involved in longer, more meaningful conversations. At this stage, you should start thinking about how to connect your ideas, not just with simple words, but with natural transitions that make your speech sound smooth and continuous. For example, then instead of pausing between ideas, you can say, "At the same time," or "Another thing is," or "What's more." These small transitions help your listener follow your thoughts easily. Now, practice. Say, "At the same time," again. "Another thing is," and "What's more," now. Create your own sentence, where you connect two ideas using one of these phrases. Take your time and speak clearly. Let's move into a situation where you describe your thoughts in a more detailed and connected way. Imagine someone asks, "Why do you think consistency is important in learning English?" You can answer, I think consistency is important because it helps you build a habit, and once it becomes a habit, it becomes much easier to continue. At the same time, regular practice helps you remember what you learn. This kind of answer flows naturally and sounds advanced. Now, repeat after me. I think consistency is important because, and once it becomes a habit, now. Now try to create your own explanation. Let's explore another situation, expressing your thoughts step by step in a discussion. For example, first of all, I think it's important to understand the basics. Then, you should practice regularly. And finally, you need to use the language in real situations. This structure is very clear and effective. Now, practice. Say, first of all, then, and finally, now. Create your own explanation using these steps. Let's continue with expressing your feelings in a more natural and detailed way. For example, I feel much more confident than before, especially when I'm speaking about familiar topics. This shows comparison and clarity. Now, repeat after me. I feel much more, and especially when. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into a situation where you describe your experiences in more detail. Imagine someone asks, "What has helped you improve your English the most?" You can say, "What has helped me the most is practicing regularly and listening to real conversations. It has made me more comfortable with natural English." This kind of response sounds clear and confident. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. What has helped me the most is, and add one more idea. Let's explore how to express your thoughts when you're not fully sure, but still want to contribute. For example, I'm not completely sure, but it seems like practicing every day makes a big difference. This sounds natural and thoughtful. Now, repeat after me. It seems like. Now. Create your own sentence using this phrase. Let's continue with describing your routine in a more connected way. For example, during the day, I try to stay productive, and in the evening, I focus more on relaxing and practicing English. This shows balance. Now, repeat after me. During the day, and in the evening. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into expressing your thoughts more clearly when you want to emphasize something. For example, the most important thing is to stay consistent, because without consistency, it's very difficult to improve. This highlights your main idea. Now, repeat after me. The most important thing is. Now. Complete the sentence. Let's explore another situation, giving your opinion in a more developed way. For example, in my view, learning English through daily conversations is very effective because it helps you understand how the language is used in real life. This sounds natural and confident. Now, repeat after me. In my view. Now, create your own sentence. Let's build a longer conversation. Imagine someone says, "I find it hard to remember new words." You can respond, "I understand. It can be difficult at first." Then they might say, "Yes, I forget them quickly." And you can reply, "Maybe you could try using those words in sentences that can help you remember them better." This conversation is helpful and practical. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with expressing results and improvements. For example, as a result of regular practice, I've become more confident in speaking. This clearly shows progress. Now, repeat after me. As a result of. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into describing your learning process in a more detailed way. For example, the way I see it, learning English is a gradual process. You improve little by little over time. This shows understanding. Now, repeat after me. The way I see it. Now, complete the sentence. Let's explore another situation, expressing your thoughts when comparing two things. For example, speaking is more challenging than listening for me because it requires quick thinking. This shows comparison and reasoning. Now, repeat after me. It is more than. Now, create your own sentence. Let's continue with expressing your mindset more clearly. For example, I try to stay patient with myself because learning a language takes time. This shows a positive attitude. Now, repeat after me. I try to stay. And because. Now, create your own sentence. Let's build another conversation. Imagine someone says, I don't feel motivated to practice every day. You can respond. That's understandable. Sometimes it's hard to stay motivated. Then they might say, yes, I lose interest quickly. And you can reply, maybe you could try making your practice more enjoyable, like watching something interesting in English. This is supportive and practical. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with expressing your ideas more clearly in longer sentences. For example, another thing that helps me improve is practicing with real conversations because it allows me to use the language naturally. This adds more detail. Now, repeat after me. Another thing that helps me is. Now, complete the sentence. Let's move into describing your progress in a more reflective way. For example, looking back, I can see how much I've improved, even though I still have a lot to learn. This shows awareness. Now, repeat after me. Looking back, and even though. Now create your own sentence. As you continue practicing these patterns, your English will become more natural, more connected, and more confident. You will be able to speak for longer periods, express your ideas clearly, and respond naturally in different situations. This is a clear sign that you are reaching a strong B2 level of fluency. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and continue building your confidence step by step. Let's continue by focusing on how to handle more spontaneous conversations where you don't have time to prepare your sentences. This is where real fluency becomes visible, because in real life, people don't give you time to think. You have to respond naturally and quickly. One useful technique is to start speaking with a simple idea, and then build your sentence while you're talking. For example, if someone asks you, why do you enjoy learning English? You can begin with, well, I enjoy it because, and then continue your thought step by step. This allows you to stay in the conversation without freezing. Now, practice. Say, well, I enjoy it because, and continue your idea without stopping. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just keep speaking. Let's move into a situation where you need to express your thoughts under pressure. Imagine someone asks, can you explain why learning English is important in today's world? You can respond like this. Well, I think learning English is important because it helps you communicate with people globally, and it also gives you access to more opportunities, especially in education and career. This kind of response is clear and direct. Now, repeat after me. Well, I think, and it helps you. Now, create your own answer to this question. Let's explore how to naturally continue your sentence when you feel stuck. You can use phrases like, "What I mean is," or "Let me think," or "How can I say this?" These phrases keep you speaking while you organize your thoughts. Now, practice. Say, "Let me think." Again. "What I mean is." Now, try to use these in your own sentence. Let's continue with a situation where you describe your opinion in more depth. For example, "From my experience, practicing every day really makes a difference because it helps you stay connected to the language." This shows both opinion and experience. Now, repeat after me. From my experience. Now. So complete the sentence. Let's move into expressing your ideas more clearly in conversations, where you need to explain something step by step. For example, if you want to improve your English, the first thing you should do is practice regularly. Then, you should focus on speaking as much as possible. And finally, try to use English in real-life situations. This kind of explanation sounds structured and confident. Now, see your turn. Complete this sentence. If you want to improve, and give at least 2 steps. Let's explore another situation. Reacting naturally to unexpected questions. Imagine someone suddenly asks, "What do you usually do when you feel stressed?" You can respond, "That's an interesting question. Usually, I try to take a break and relax. Sometimes I go for a walk or listen to music." This shows a natural reaction. Now, repeat after me. "That's an interesting question." Now, create your own answer. Let's continue with expressing your thoughts more clearly when you want to explain your behavior. For example, "The reason I try to practice every day is that I want to improve gradually, without feeling overwhelmed." This shows purpose. Now, repeat after me. "The reason I try to." Now, complete the sentence. Let's move into describing your experiences in more detail. For example, "When I started speaking English, I felt nervous and unsure. But over time, I realized that making mistakes is part of the learning process." This shows growth and understanding. Now, repeat after me. "When I started," and "but over time." Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore a situation where you compare your current level with your past. For example, "Now, I feel much more comfortable speaking English than I did before." This shows improvement. Now, repeat after me. "Now, I feel much more." Now, complete the sentence. Let's continue with expressing your ideas more naturally in longer conversations. For example, "Another reason why I enjoy learning English is that it helps me understand different cultures and perspectives." This adds depth to your speech. Now, repeat after me. "Another reason why." Now, complete the sentence. Let's move into a situation where you give advice based on your experience. For example, "If I were you, I would try to practice speaking every day, even if it's just for a few minutes." This sounds natural and helpful. Now, repeat after me. "If I were you." Now, She's create your own advice sentence. Let's explore another conversation. Imagine someone says, I don't know how to improve my speaking skills. You can respond. You might want to start with simple conversations and gradually increase your level. Then they might say, that sounds helpful, and you can reply, yes. And the more you practice, the more confident you will become. This is encouraging and practical. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again in your own words. Let's continue with expressing your thoughts more clearly when you want to emphasize something important. For example, the key thing to remember is that consistency is more important than perfection. This highlights your main idea. Now, repeat after me. The key thing to remember is now. Let me complete the sentence. Let's move into describing your daily habits more naturally. For example, I try to include English in my daily routine, whether it's through listening, speaking, or even thinking in English. This sounds natural and complete. Now, repeat after me. I try to include now. Create your own sentence. Let's explore another situation, asking more engaging questions to continue a conversation. For example, what motivates you to keep learning? Or, what do you enjoy most about practicing English? These questions create deeper interaction. Now, in practice, say, what motivates you and what do you enjoy most? Try to say them naturally. Let's continue with expressing your mindset in a more confident way. For example, I believe that with regular practice, anyone can become fluent in English. This shows confidence and positivity. Now, repeat after me. I believe that. Now, complete the sentence. Let's build one more conversation. Imagine someone says, I feel like I'm not improving. You can respond, it may feel that way, but improvement takes time. Then they might say, yes, I guess I need to be patient. And you can reply, exactly. Patience and consistency are the key. This is supportive and realistic. Now, so repeat this conversation slowly, then try to say it again without stopping. As you continue practicing these spontaneous speaking patterns, you will notice that your English becomes faster, more natural, and more flexible. You will be able to respond quickly, express your ideas clearly, and handle real-life conversations with confidence. This is a strong sign that you are reaching true fluency. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and continue improving step by step. Let's continue by focusing on how to handle conversations where you need to express your ideas clearly, while also listening and responding in a natural way. At this stage, song fluency is not just about speaking, but about interaction. How you respond, how you react, and how you keep the conversation balanced. One useful technique is to combine your response with a follow-up question. For example, if someone says, I've been practicing English every day, you can respond, that's great. How do you usually practice? This keeps the conversation active and natural. Now, practice. I'll give you a sentence, and you respond with a reaction and a question. I started reading English books recently. Now, you respond. Maybe you can say, that's interesting. What kind of books are you reading? Try to say it out loud. Let's move into a situation where you need to express your thoughts more clearly. During a longer discussion, imagine someone asks, what do you think is the best way to become fluent in English? You can respond like this. In my opinion, the best way to become fluent is to practice regularly and use the language in real-life situations, because this helps you become more comfortable and confident over time. This kind of response is clear, structured, and natural. Now, repeat after me. In my opinion, the best way is. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's explore another situation. Explaining your ideas in a more detailed and connected way. For example, one thing I've learned is that making mistakes is part of the learning process, and instead of being afraid of them, we should learn from them. This shows a mature understanding. Now, repeat after me. One thing I've learned is that. Now, complete the sentence. Let's continue with expressing your ideas more clearly when you want to explain something important. For example, what's important to understand is that learning a language takes time and effort. This helps you emphasize your point. Now, repeat after me. What's important to understand is. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into a situation where you describe your progress in more detail. For example, over the past few months, I've noticed that my English has improved significantly, especially in terms of speaking and understanding. This shows progress clearly. Now, repeat after me. Over the past few months, and especially in terms of. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore how to express your ideas more naturally when you are sharing your experience. For example, from what I've experienced, practicing daily conversations is one of the most effective ways to improve fluency. This sounds natural and confident. Now, repeat after me. From what I've experienced. Now, complete the sentence. Let's continue with a situation where you explain your thoughts step by step in a more natural way. For example, if you ask me, the key to fluency is simple. Practice regularly, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. This sounds clear and direct. Now, repeat after me. If you ask me. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into expressing your ideas more clearly when you want to compare different approaches. For example, some people prefer learning grammar first, while others focus more on speaking. But I think a balance of both is important. This shows a balanced opinion. Now, repeat after me. Some people prefer, while others. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore another situation, reacting thoughtfully during a conversation. For example, that's a very good point. I hadn't thought about it that way before. This shows engagement and interest. Now, practice, say, that's a very good point. Now, create your own sentence. Let's continue with expressing your thoughts more clearly when you want to summarize your idea. For example, so, to sum up, I believe that regular practice and consistency are the most important factors. This helps you conclude your point. Now, repeat after me. To sum up. Now, complete the sentence. Let's move into a situation where you describe your learning habits more clearly. For example, I try to make English a part of my daily life, whether I'm listening, speaking, or even thinking in English. This sounds natural and complete. Now, repeat after me. I try to make. Now, create your own sentence. Let's explore another situation, asking deeper questions to continue the conversation. For example, what do you think has improved the most for you? Or, What do you find most enjoyable about learning English? These questions lead to meaningful discussions. Now, practice. Say, what has improved the most? And, what do you find most enjoyable? Try to say them naturally. Let's continue with expressing your ideas more confidently. For example, I strongly believe that anyone can improve their English with the right approach and consistent practice. This shows confidence. Now, repeat after me. I strongly believe that. Now, complete the sentence. Let's move into describing your mindset more clearly. For example, I try to focus on learning step by step, rather than trying to improve everything at once. This shows a practical approach. Now, repeat after me. I try to focus on. Now, create your own sentence. Let's build one more conversation. Imagine someone says, I feel like I'm not making enough progress. You can respond, it might feel that way, but improvement takes time and effort. Then they might say, yes, I just need to keep practicing. And you can reply, exactly. Consistency is the key to success. This is encouraging and realistic. Now, repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with expressing your thoughts more clearly when you want to highlight something important. For example, what really matters is staying consistent and not giving up. This emphasizes your idea. Now, repeat after me. What really matters is. Now, complete the sentence. As you continue practicing these advanced conversation patterns, your English will become more natural, more confident, and more expressive. You will be able to handle real-life conversations smoothly, respond quickly, and express your ideas clearly, without hesitation. This is what it means to reach a strong B2 level and move toward true fluency. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep improving step by step. Let's continue by bringing everything together and practicing how to handle full, natural conversations from beginning to end. At this stage, your focus is on flow, clarity, and confidence. You already know many useful expressions, but now, so the goal is to use them naturally, without thinking too much. Imagine you are in a real conversation where someone asks you multiple questions. You need to answer, react, and continue the discussion smoothly. Let's practice a full situation. Imagine someone asks you, so, how has your day been so far? You can respond, it's been quite good so far. I had a productive morning, and I managed to complete most of my tasks in the afternoon. I took a short break, which helped me feel more relaxed. Now, instead of stopping here, you can continue by asking, how about you? How has your day been? This keeps the conversation balanced. Now, repeat this response slowly. Then, try to say it again without stopping. Focus on connecting your ideas smoothly. Let's go into a deeper conversation. Imagine someone asks, What do you usually do when you want to relax? You can say, when I want to relax, I usually try to do something simple, like listening to music or watching something interesting. Sometimes, I also like to go for a walk because it helps me clear my mind. This response sounds natural and detailed. Now, your turn. Answer this question. What do you usually do to relax? Try to include at least 2 activities and 1 reason. Let's continue with a situation where you need to express your opinion. and explain it clearly. Imagine someone asks, "Do you think practicing daily conversations is helpful?" You can respond, "Yes, I think it's very helpful because it allows you to use the language in a natural way, and it also helps you become more comfortable when speaking." This shows clear reasoning. Now, they repeat after me. I think it's very helpful because. Now, complete the sentence with your own idea. Let's move into a situation where you describe your improvement in a more complete way. Imagine someone asks, "How has your English improved over time?" You can say, "Over time, I've noticed that I can understand more and speak more confidently. At first, it was difficult for me to form sentences quickly, but now, I feel much more comfortable expressing my ideas." This shows progress clearly. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. Over time, I've noticed that. And add one more idea. Let's continue with a situation where you explain your learning strategy in a natural conversation. Imagine someone asks, "What do you usually do to improve your English?" You can respond, "What I usually do is practice a little every day. I try to listen, speak, and learn new words. And most importantly, I try to use English in real-life situations." This sounds clear and natural. Now, repeat after me. What I usually do is. Now, create your own answer. Let's move into expressing your thoughts more clearly. When you want to encourage someone, imagine someone says, "I feel like I'm not improving." You can respond, "It might feel that way, but improvement takes time. The important thing is to stay consistent and keep practicing." This is supportive and realistic. Now, repeat this response slowly, then try to say it again in your own words. Let's explore another situation. Asking and answering follow-up questions. Imagine someone says, "I've been practicing English every evening." You can respond, "That's great. What kind of practice do you usually do?" Then they might say, "I usually listen and repeat." And you can reply, "That sounds very effective. It really helps with fluency." This is a natural conversation flow. Now, repeat this conversation slowly, and then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with expressing your ideas more clearly in longer sentences. For example, one thing I've realized is that the more I practice speaking, the more confident I feel, and this motivates me to keep improving. This shows connection between ideas. Now, repeat after me. The more I. Now, create your own sentence. Let's move into describing your daily habits in a more natural way. For example, I try to make English a part of my daily routine, whether I'm listening, speaking, or even thinking in English. This sounds complete and natural. Now, repeat after me. I try to make. Now, complete the sentence. Let's explore a situation where you express your thoughts more deeply. Imagine someone asks, "What motivates you to keep learning English?" You can respond, "What motivates me is the idea that I can communicate better and have more opportunities in the future. It also makes me feel more confident when I speak." This shows both reason and emotion. Now, your turn. Complete this sentence. What motivates me is. And add one more idea. Let's continue with expressing your thoughts more clearly. When you want to explain something important, for example, what really matters is that you keep practicing regularly and don't give up, even when it feels difficult. This emphasizes your point. Now, repeat after me. What really matters is, now, complete the sentence. Let's move into one more full conversation. Imagine someone says, I'm thinking about improving my English seriously. You can respond, that's a great decision. What made you think about it? Then they might say, I want to feel more confident when I speak. And you can reply, that's a very good goal. And with regular practice, you will definitely improve. This is a natural and complete exchange. Now, repeat this conversation slowly. Then try to say it again without stopping. Let's continue with expressing your final thoughts in a clear and natural way. For example, hi, in the end, I believe that learning English is a journey, and the most important thing is to keep going and keep improving step by step. This sounds natural and thoughtful. Now, repeat after me. In the end, I believe that. Now, so complete the sentence with your own idea. As you practice all these conversations and patterns, you will notice that your English becomes more natural, more confident, and more fluent. You will be able to express your ideas clearly, respond quickly, and keep conversations going without hesitation. And most importantly, you will start to enjoy speaking English more and more. Thank you so much for spending your time with me and practicing your English today. I truly hope you found this lesson helpful and that you feel more confident speaking English in your daily life. Remember, fluency doesn't come from perfection. It comes from practice, consistency, and the courage to keep speaking, even when it feels difficult. As you continue your journey, try to use what you've learned today in real conversations, even if it's just a few sentences. Course every day. Speak out loud, think in English, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because every time you speak, you are improving. Keep practicing these conversations, repeat the sentences, and create your own examples. The more you use English in real situations, the more natural it will become for you. Step by step, you will notice real progress, and your confidence will grow. If you enjoyed learning with me today, make sure to stay connected and continue practicing regularly. Your consistency will make all the difference. Keep going, keep speaking, and keep believing in your progress.